gonna put me in one of them sight glass windows in here.
Just cut the whole back end off, make it a pickup truck. Yeah! I'm gonna pull this thing forward. I need to start cutting. I'm just gonna, to start out with, we're gonna make a window into the trunk. An easy access window. I think that'll look good on this thing. But no, I want to see the inner workings here. So we're just gonna cut off most of this quarter to start off with. I do need to remove some things before we get into that, but honestly, we're just gonna cut a section out of here. And I need to find spot welds in the fuel door there. But we can cut like the back section off for right now and then go from there. As for this thing, I got it freshly inspected and then swapped the plate over to my new bike. And it's legal now. I've been riding it. Love it. This thing, the bag doesn't go with it. I just have it sitting on there. I just put a fresh battery in this thing and got it inspected. So this thing's ready to roll. I have it listed on sale online for $6,500. It's got 17,000 miles on it. Nothing wrong with the bike at all. It's got the proximity key. So I just have it in the storage box there, but yeah. Now, when we do this quarter panel, I'm going to try some new things I've never tried before. Mainly, whenever you weld in a panel, and like I said, now that I'm deciding that we're probably going to cut back here instead of the whole way up here, there's going to be a big section here that needs welded. Now, you could go through and completely weld that. Your panel's going to shrink. You're going to have warpage. It's going to be a lot of body work afterwards. Or you can tack it. Get a lot of tacks on there, and then there's it's like soldering, but you use a torch and you melt lead into it, and that is what we're going to do. These rods are pretty expensive. This is like I don't know what this is, a 1 pound rod from Eastwood, and you just melt this with a torch and you solder it in, and then you smooth it out and grind it down, and you're good to go. Now, you smooth these out with a wooden like a spatula kind of. I don't have that. I am going to order that since we're not really getting into it just yet. But before you go through all that, you want to wipe tinning butter on your metal and burn that in, and that's what helps this stick. Alright, so as for the car, we need to cut some metal off, okay? First cut I'm going to do, now I'm not saying this is going to be the final cut, but I'm going to stay down low, okay? So I think I'm going to cut it down here, or maybe cut it right on this line, because we might move up from there to cut. But to start out with, I'm going to start low, and I want to get rid of some spot welds first. I think I want to just remove the corner panel portion of this. So yeah, you can see we're pretty stripped down in the trunk because that's how I got it. There's nothing in there. As for right now, we don't need to do any measurements or anything because it's not really important at this point, especially on this model, because this is the one that's all messed up. But before we start cutting on that one, we need to get a whole bunch of measurements so I can make sure when I'm welding everything in that I'm welding it in the correct position and I'm not throwing stuff off, because you want to have this trunk sealed. And I definitely, once I get the new panel on, I want to make sure that I'm welding it on in the right spot. Now, we may have to cut some of that trunk out. Now, see how this is wrinkled here? We may cut up here and just cut this off and then cut across here, cut up here. That way we can eliminate this wrinkled spot, and I can just spot weld it in, let it, and make it all look good. Now you got some sealer here that needs to come out. Got part of the tail light still in there. Bunch of spot welds, but like I said, to start out with, want to just cut a section of this off. So I need to go down through here and clean all this metal up. We're already kind of separated here from a lot of spot welds, but there's more spot welds past that. There's a pop rivet in it right there, which was from the original bumper mount, and I'd like to cut a lot of this off to start out with. I decided I am gonna replace this rear plate, so let's go ahead and remove the bumper. Let's just do that real quick. That's gonna be quick and simple. Let's get this rear bumper off of here, and I'm replacing this with the one off of that car as well. So get this thing out of here. That's a nice chunk of aluminum. Take that in for scrap. Now I don't know if I'm going to include it in this video, but I got LED headlight bulbs to review, and I need to do driving at night with this and get a recording with the original headlights in, and then switch them over. Oxido. I've done reviews for them before, I believe, but they sent me the high and the low beams, so we'll try that. So just with taking that apart, there's like a purple seam sealer that went in between these panels, which is weird. But it's spot welded, and you can see there's one there, possibly one right there. Yes, there's one right there, one there, and there, if there's one there, it already separated. Yeah, there is one right there, and it already separated. But like I said, when we replaced this rear panel, I was looking at these braces and stuff, and I was thinking about, oh, we're going to have to cut. No, that's coming out. All of this comes out with this rear panel. And another thing I saw is all the seam sealer on the outside was painted silver. All the seam sealer that's inside the car is not painted. So I don't have to worry about painting the inside of this. I have this white AC Delco sealer. It didn't honestly seal that great in a lot of areas, so I mean, we'll get our chance to do that, but we also don't have a gun that lays it on like this, so we're gonna have to tape areas and seam seal. But as you can see, areas like this are gonna have to be resealed. This rear plate sits on top of everything else here, so I don't know if I should work on that first. I don't think it sits on top of the quarter panel. It sits on top of this plate and meets the quarter panel. Yes, it does overlay the quarter panel. So let's work on the rear panel first. Need to get into the fuel door here and see what we need to remove here. Oh, they hit everything so well. Why do they? They're so good at it. So somehow this needs to come out. All of this needs to come out, but everything is so hidden. It's like, I'm gonna have to look it up, because I don't honestly know how that comes out of there. You know what? I don't even know if it's spot welded around there. there's flex to it. So I think, oh wait a minute, I do see kind of a release here. There's a tab here. Does this fuel door slide off? Let me mess with it. It does indeed. You need to lift up on, did I break that? I did break that. You gotta be kidding me. You want to lift up on that. You need to get a screwdriver in there. Ah, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, so I'm gonna have to roll that off the other one. The fuel door thing, you pull out on that, and then the door pops out. It slides out. Here, I'll show you now that I have it off. It's on there, and then it slides off. So there's that. But I broke that tab whenever I pulled that. I can't believe I just broke that. Great. At least I had a parts car. You could remedy that by, you know, you could probably like put an end of a zip tie on that or something that'll make it clip when it goes in. But yeah, that's not real major. So we'll get it. But like I said, I think this quarter panel just pushes up against it. Because I can push in and flex this whole panel. So I think if I cut a section off here, I think it's just going to lift off. I still need to remove this trim because I don't want to cut into it. I don't want to damage it. And I don't know how it's held on. But we're going to get some pry tools because I believe that this is just clipped in and I don't want to damage anything. So let me get the plastic pry tools out and we'll start messing with this. Okay, so we didn't hardly save that, but I know how to get it loose now. I was kind of separating this tin strip from the plastic. It's double-sided taped, and I was peeling it so that I could see how it was attached, and it dented right here. Now, it's not horrible, but it's enough that that would look bad on the car. So, what I need to do is get this tool up underneath right there, and once you get this one broke free, then the rest of them start to come free pretty easy. That one broke. They're easy enough to replace. Right here's two of them. So when I get the one off the other car, we'll be good. And then the rest of these clips came out pretty freely. So the rest of that came out nice, just right there. So I know what I'm doing on the next one, so I don't damage it. I'm pretty sure the trim is the same. It is like a brushed aluminum and not chrome. Yes, exactly. So we'll be more careful removing this one so that we don't damage it. But we're not worried about that one right now. We're learning right now. This is learning, right? We ruined a piece. We learned. This car, we're going to do all the cutting and messing up and stuff because this one is going to be the learning car. Another thing I learned, which we're not going to get into right this second, this back seat is going to have to come out along with the trim because I do not believe we'll be able to get that plastic out without removing the rear seat. I could be wrong, but we'll find out because that needs to come out. This door seal needs to come out because we're going to be cutting, which not right now. I'm not cutting into that right now. I just want to get this outer shell off. So let's just go ahead and cut it. I'm going to put a tape line on there and then just try to guide myself across the tape line. And I'm only going to cut to the edge here, or pretty close to the edge, and then I'm going to come down, and then I'm probably going to go across this wheel arch right here, because I don't want to get down into the double layers, which is pretty close right there at that arch, so I got to make sure I don't cut too deep across here. Maybe we'll stay up a little bit. Nah, we'll cut on that arch. We're going to cut on that arch, come down, and then just cut across there or cut down lower, because we need to get rid of some metal here. Yes, this needs to come out. Hercules!
Reach for the stars. Never to be seen again.
So as you can see, like I said, this floor plate did not get messed up that much. This brace did, and these dents up here, that was from me prying on this quarter panel to pop it out. So this is extra. I think now possibly I could get in here and replace this from off the other car, but I don't know if it's going to be needed. Yes, structurally it'd probably make it a little bit stronger, but it's like 3 plates. I'm going to try to straighten this out the best I can. This needs to be straightened out a little bit right here in the wheel well, which, as you can see, I can pretty much almost pull it back to shape. We'll have to get a hammer and dolly on that a little bit. This just needs to go down a little bit. And there you go. Straight. Now that pushing that down actually helped with this. And yeah, so there's seam sealer here. There's a lot of seam sealer we're going to have to be doing, because I see a lot of seam sealer, and it makes sense, especially in this wheel well, to have a lot of seam sealer. Honestly, to get the rest of this quarter panel off, we're going to have to remove the wheel. There's a lot of seam sealer up across the back side of here, and we'll have to get that off. Now, it's going to be tricky to get that other quarter panel off. That fuel door is pretty much part of the quarter panel. It's kind of like glued on there, and it wraps around that inner panel, as you can see, this whole gadget right here. So when we do go to remove that quarter panel, it's going to have to be pulled out and then slid this way to get it off. And we need to do that without damaging it. I do have this expanding foam stuff. This stuff is really hard to work with. I'm going to clean this off here, but it's really hard to work with because it expands so fast. You have to get the panel on and in place extremely fast. I need to see if there's a slow expanding foam, because the stuff I have right now, it's like within a minute it's set. So you have to get that panel on there exactly where you want it. And if you don't in time, then it starts pushing the panel out and you can't get it into place. Besides that, I'm really happy with the way everything is in here. There is a spot weld missing right there. That needs to be hammered in. This needs to come out a little bit. We may replace this. I don't know yet. We'll see. I just want to see how it's attached completely before I decide to replace that. But it is a possibility. So I know this trunk is going to release, so I need to get this spring off without pinching my fingers. I need a prop rod in here. You know, looking at this, honestly, if I did this right, I kind of want to have up higher here. So I'm going to chop this down low right now. Just chop it right across there. I think we might chop up there on that car, and we'll just we'll have this whole rear piece as one, and when we move it over to this car, it's going to be, you know, pretty simple and a lot less spot welds to do. But another thing that needs to happen right now, which would make this a lot easier, is removing this trunk. And I see I have a strut right there. That's just a dampening strut. I have a spring over here, and then there are nuts. Looks like 4 of them up in there. So let's go ahead and remove this trunk lid. There's also an electrical connector over there I need to get unplugged, but it looks like this should be a fairly easy job. While we're here, why don't you guys go over to Johnny's channel and check out his car. He put a SR20 in his freaking Ford Maverick. Yeah, and a big turbo.
Yes.
And it's running and driving.
Running and driving, yep. Good to go.
And he's taking it to Carlisle.
3 weeks.
He's gonna try to attempt to drive
Try
it.
to make it to
He's gonna attempt to drive it to Carlisle. All right, Cadillac, why you do this? So, I decided I was going to take this whole, all the arms and everything off. I think I'm just going to take the top of the trunk off just for now. What I was scared of is that this was bent or something was bent over here. But as strong as these are made and looking at it, it doesn't appear that anything is bent. So I'm going to try the other trunk lid. Not right now, but I'm going to try the other trunk lid before I decide to replace that whole arm. Because I'm going to have to paint them if I do. But why, Cadillac? Like, the harness comes out, the harness runs up through this tube. It comes out right here. You think there would be a plug here? No. Think there would be a plug down here? No. It runs to the main harness down there. What you have to do is take that harness out. There's 3 plugs, and then you got to run them down through there. Why would you not just put one plug on one end? So you can just unplug one and leave the harness. Hey, just why? So much easier to work on now. So let's just go ahead and chop that across there, because it's going to happen. know about you, but I think that's pretty good progress for one day. Plus, I'm sweating. Now, that wasn't bad to take off. Now, the hard part is going to be removing that one without damaging anything. That's going to be the hard part. You almost need to get something that you can hammer on that's thin, like a putty knife or something, like a metal one. These seal scrapers you get at Harbor Freight, these would be perfect. I didn't even think about it. I should have used these to begin with. They have a metal end that kind of attaches to this so you can hammer on them. And yeah, something with a small end on it that's metal that you can get in there and separate it. Now there's some things we need to do right here. This needs to be flattened out, and then this, and then I did cut down too low right there. My fault. I need to get this piece of metal off of here, but I'm gonna have to tack some on here and clean that up so that I have a surface there. But for the most part, there's a little bit of damage right here that I think we're gonna be fine. It's gonna be inside the trunk, and it's gonna be back here in the very corner where you're not gonna see anything. We do have a spot weld busted off of this that's supposed to go into the bottom of that right there. And like I said, I'm still not opposed to cutting this out of that one over there to put in this car, because that is kind of like structural. It helps with the structure of the car. But I still have stuff to remove. I have this whole surface to remove, the rest of that to remove, the rest of that to remove. I need to take the side skirt off. There is more to come. So there's going to be a part 2 of this. And another thing I found it would be a little bit easier is if you loosen the fuel neck and pull it back through, then you won't have as many issues getting that fuel neck out like I did. So like when you look at all this, it looks scary. And like when you first start cutting on it, it's like, man, it sucks cutting into a nice car. Well, this car wasn't nice, okay? It was beat up. And it sucks cutting into it, but at the same time, it's going to be a lot better when it's done. And I just looked at this. And this little dent up here, I think we can get in there with something now that I have this cut and pop that out a little bit so we don't have to use as much putty. Now I got this long bar. Now if I can get it up in there. Oh, do they have foam up in there? They do have foam up in there. I need to find a spot where there's no foam. I don't think there is any. There's foam across there. I can, but I can't pry on it. I think once I cut the rest of this off, I think maybe I can get up in there. That's going to be for another episode. I'm not getting into that right now. But for the most part, I got all of the damaged metal out of this thing, minus what I damaged here. You just got to start. You just got to start somewhere. So now that we dug into this, it should go a little bit faster. I say that, but I gotta do all of this and be really careful with that one. Let me go see if I can get that trim piece off that one without damaging it. Okay, so I did a lot better with getting this one out, all but I had one clip at the very end that was just fighting me. And you can see I got a small kink in it right there. That clip did not want to come loose no matter how I got on that thing. I'm hoping it'll clip back in whenever we put it back together, but it's there and it's intact. But for the most part, all the main stuff you're gonna see turned out really good. So honestly, this whole rear section here, I don't need to worry about. There was a couple spot welds on that I drilled up near the top there, and they go to that bracket right there. You don't have to drill those out. So on this side, I drilled one and then realized I didn't need to and didn't drill the rest of them. So this whole piece is going in the trash. This is really light, to be honest with you. I can't believe how light this is, and it is actually steel. I thought it was aluminum. But this is what the white one's about to look like this. I'm going to have to like put tape across. I did buy that blue tape that Copart uses. I bought a roll of that. So I will use that to close off the trunk on that car. And also, if I want to straighten that out, I almost do I have to replace this piece. I'm looking at it. So it lays over top of everything. There's a spot weld there. 1, 2, 3 there. One inside the middle of here. Actually, that one doesn't have to come out. This one has to come out. The one in the middle of here. And then that one has to come loose. And then you can pull that off. And then I'm going to have to work on it down here too. I am going to take that off. Now I'm looking at it. It's the only logical thing to do. So we're not finished taking the quarter panel off, but we're at a good stopping point for the day, so I'm going to stop there. Like I said, this is going to be way harder on the tan one because we have to be careful with everything. So credit due to people that do this every day. I don't. So this is it. You know, I learned from doing it before, but it's hard. And I don't know what kind of panel bond they use that's purple, but it's like hard as a rock. It's not soft like the stuff I use. So I don't know that that's going back on. I do have panel bond, but I got to spot weld that. So I don't know how that's even going to be possible to get. I mean, I can probably put some in between the spot welds a little bit, but I can't weld through sealer or panel bond. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. But we'll figure it out, okay? I want to get this thing together. That's why I'm chomping at the bits and trying to get this cut off now, because I really, really want to drive this car. I've been driving my Z every day. Now, not that, I mean, yeah, like that's a real issue. Oh, I got to drive a 370Z every day. That sucks. But no, this is a really, really nice car, and I want to just be able to drive it. So I need to get on the ball. Next episode, we're going to continue on this. It's going to be a part 2 of this, and then we're gonna have to start stripping that car. So yeah, and honestly, I think whenever we lay this panel on here, which I gotta cut this a little bit smoother, I think we can like overlap it, like underlap it here and spot weld across there. I think we can do that. Just lay it underneath, because this quarter panel is not going to be attached, remember? It's just going to be this part, and then the quarter panel is going to attach to it after that. And I don't think that that's going to be enough to throw all of our measurements off. But I keep speaking whatever. I got to get this car moved back so I can get my motorcycle in here. So if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, consider subscribing. I don't understand why my backup camera wasn't working. Hit that dislike button if your mom's rear end's blown out. And we'll see you on the next episode of
Unwrapped.
jumped up here on my lap.
Oh, Sully. You're being a good boy. Why? This is open. You don't have to be in here, buddy. You don't have to be in here. Hey. Where's your energy at that you have all day long? Huh? Are you mommy's boy now? I see you. What are you doing? Sleeping? Stew Bean. What are you doing, Stew Bean? Huh? You want to say bye-bye? You want to say bye-bye? Bye to everybody, Stew Bean. Say bye-bye.